Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Der Arme. Ist zweimal verdammt.
Oh, mein Führer. Sind Sie verwundet? Das ist unentschuldbar.
Pinch me, Dolan. Did I just KO Hitler?
You sure did, champ.
Welcome to a brand new episode of The Pint, sometimes known as a pop culture podcast. My name is John.
And I'm Joe.
Joe's here with me today on our 299th episode. It's his last episode for a little bit. He's taking a bit of a summer hiatus, spend time with the newborn baby and the rest of the family. I look back on the history today of your being on The Pint. Episode 183 was your debut, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. You remember that very well?
I forget it like it's yesterday.
Superman.
It was fun.
Superman's hair holding up a 1,000-pound ball, but could be cut by a pair of scissors. What a movie that was.
That was different from the series.
Yeah. So here on The Pint, we have a Patreon called The Pint Insider. You can go to Patreon/The Pint, and you could find us $2.50 for our base tier, and then we have a $4 tier that gets you a bunch of live streams. And I've been doing these episodes lately. We have insider requests, so our Pint Insiders can ask us to do movies, and we've done plenty of those. But I've been doing ones called Insider Dedications, where I kind of dig into the brain of some of our insiders, and I see what they like, and I pay attention to them, like I'm wooing them, like I want to take them on a date, And but instead, what I'm doing is I'm going to do a surprise podcast for them. So our buddy Patrick Flanagan, who requested The Visit, was it The Visitor or The Visitor?
The Visitor. Right.
Me and you did that earlier in the year on the Patreon. Well, I saw on Facebook, he had posted either a picture of his apartment that was either it was like a repost or he had posted it. And he was focusing on one thing in the picture, but in the background, I noticed a poster on the wall. The poster on the wall was for a movie called Zone Troopers. And so I said, if this movie is good enough for Patrick, it's good enough for us to talk about. So this insider dedication is Zone Troopers for Patrick Flanagan. And we're going to have a good time with this. So had you ever seen this movie before, Joe?
I hadn't. And I just want to start with, if you're trying to get in people's heads, just stay out of mine. Okay.
Oh, no. I've already got plans for you.
Just don't do it like you're Hannibal Lectering everybody. Patrons, He's taking your money, he's going to eat you.
That's right. That's right. With a nice fava beans and with a nice Chianti and some fava beans. Absolutely, I will. So you had never seen it before, but I had introduced you kind of to the film company that made this movie. Maybe about a year ago, around Christmas, we did a live stream of Trancers, which has always been a favorite of mine. There's a guy named Charles Band. We talked about him on the Trancers episode. Movie producer, movie distributor. He had a company back in the 80s called Empire International Pictures. It lasted from about 83 to 88, ran into some financial troubles. But here's some of the movies that people know that were produced by Charles Band and Empire. Reanimator, very famous horror film. Troll, Trancers, as we mentioned, From Beyond, Robot Jocks, and Arena, which I did with the guys from So Wizard maybe a year ago or so. And those two were both delayed for quite a while because they got caught up in all of the bankruptcy of Empire International Pictures. Now, I've seen most of those movies as a kid. I've always loved Trancers. I always loved Robot Jocks. I had never seen Zone Troopers before. I was familiar with it. And actually, about 2 years ago, on one of the trips to the often mentioned archive in Connecticut, down in Bridgeport, I bought the Kino Lorber Blu-ray because I had heard so many good things about this movie and I just never got around to it until for this episode. So when Charles Band ended Empire, he started a new company called Full Moon Entertainment in late 1988. They specialized a lot in like horror and sci-fi. I was a big fan of their releases in the late 80s. I was a member of their fan club. They had a really cool fan club. Their videotapes used to have like special features at the end, like prior to DVD and shit. You could order shirts and hats and all that kind of stuff. Some of the movie series that you might be familiar with from Full Moon, Puppet Master came from there. All the Trancers sequels. So Trancers was Empire. The sequels all came out on Full Moon or under Full Moon. Subspecies, which was like a vampire series, came out through Full Moon. And The Pit and the Pendulum, starring one of our favorites, and actually in the Visitor episode, he was in that movie as well, Lance Henriksen as Torquemada. So I always loved like these like kind of low budget, like mid to late 80s. And actually, I think Full Moon Entertainment, I think, is still going on right now. I think it's like more of an online presence, but they're still producing movies. But Zone Troopers, fresh to me, fresh to you, Joe. That's exciting. All right, let's get into Zone Troopers. So, limited release, Joe. You said what, in Italy?
Yeah, in October of 1985. I suspect Italy because it was filmed there, but I guess I'm speculating. I don't know 100% for sure.
Oh, so if I was a judge in a court, I could throw you out. Like,
yeah. You pick me apart on cross-examination.
Yeah, speculation. But you did find out an actual release date for the film in America, right? What was it?
It was April 11th of 86.
Okay. I'm going to say if this was released in theaters in America, it was like 4 theaters. Not a lot, because I definitely don't remember it from back then.
And I think everything like that, they're in California somewhere. If you're lucky, you get New York too, but I expect everything somewhere in the Hollywood vicinity.
So the director of this film is a guy named Danny Bilson. We've talked about him before. He also directed a movie that I actually was familiar with as well. I think also produced by the same people, by Charles Band, I believe, starring a lot of the same people from this movie, called The Wrong Guys. Louis Anderson was in that. Richard Lewis was in that. In like 1989, I went on a cruise ship with my parents. I was like 13. We went on a cruise. And I could give a shit about seeing the Bahamas or seeing, wherever we went. So my parents did a lot of like the day things without me. I was 13. And I spent my time on the ship going to like get ice cream sundaes, like on our, my dad's like fucking credit card. But one of the things I did was they had a fucking movie theater and I would just go see whatever was playing. And they were playing all day long. The Wrong Guys was playing like the whole week that we were there. So I saw it like 3 or 4 times. It's a fun movie if you've never seen it.
I never heard of it. It does look pretty good. Also, I could make fun of you for going on a cruise and just going to the movies. I would have done that too at 13. Yeah,
at 13. If I said that at like 33, then like there's probably a little bit like there's maybe some alarm bells or like kind of antisocial. Well, here, listen, I'll give you another quick. The year after, we went on another cruise ship, and I did go to more of the destinations, but this was fucking incredible, Joe. It was early 1990, and Batman 89 was not yet out on video cassette at this point. The what do you want to call it? The in-cabin, like, video systems, you could watch Batman whenever you wanted to. I watched Batman 89 like fucking 19 times that week. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, I believe you.
And like, I remember coming back and like my friends were jealous because whenever this was, it had not come out in video yet. So it was probably still in the theaters maybe, or like ending its run. Because it just celebrated its anniversary, June 23rd, 1989. So that was great. So Danny Bilson directed this, also directed The Wrong Guys. Written by Bilson and his longtime writing partner, Paul DeMeo. They were the showrunners on the Flash television show, and I'm talking about the one from 1990. They also wrote a probably like 15-issue arc back in 2006 of The Flash, The Fastest Man Alive.
Oh.
For DC Comics. It was actually, I remember because I actually own it and read it. It was a series where Bart Allen, Impulse, became Flash for a while. Arena, the film that we talked about a little bit before, and they wrote The Rocketeer. And this is crazy because I think we mentioned this maybe on another episode, The Five Bloods, Spike Lee.
That's unbelievable, right?
It's super unbelievable because I don't want to sound like a dick, but it's like these are like 2 older white guys.
Yeah,
like at this point,
That's Spike Lee.
Yeah, and Spike Lee. So these guys have done a lot of cool stuff. I made the same joke last time, but I'll make it again. Danny Bilson also produced Rachel Bilson. So thumbs up, Danny.
I was going to do it this time.
Your DNA is
his best production.
Yeah, his best production. Your DNA is very strong. So this was filmed in and around outside of Rome, Italy. Charles Band, a lot of his productions were filmed over there at this point. It also takes place in Italy. So that lines up. All right, Joe, let's get into the cast of this film.
Round up the usual suspects.
So I joke with you that I could just take my Trancers cast and just change the name to Zone Troopers. Pretty much true. I just did that, cut it off, probably 4 of the people off it, and then I pretty much have Zone Troopers. Again, we have Tim Thomerson. He's the Sarge, the Iron Sarge, however you want to refer to him. He's from the Trancers, lots of TV, Metal Storm. Shows up at Air America and Dad. He's the dad in Iron Eagle, but I think he's been in 5 of the 6 Trancers.
Yeah, and he was also a stand-up comedian early on in his career. Yeah,
interesting. He doesn't really get to do a lot of deadpan comedy in the movies.
No, and he's another one like Steve Martin. As long as I remember, he's been gray. Like this guy's always been gray. Yeah,
he's always say like those older actors look older and they're like 35.
Yeah,
there's some real reason like that. But yeah, he looks like he's 50. He's like 30.
It's pretty clear you and I are older than Tim Thomerson is in this movie, but he looks like he's 10 years older. Yeah.
Yes. So, and then we have Timothy Van Patten as Joey. And I have to ask you, you probably know, why is Timothy Van Patten close to my heart? Why do I hold him in some esteem?
Boy, I don't know. I know, if I'm correct, they said most of his acting career didn't go too far, but he was a director, right? Like he did a lot of TV and stuff. The Sopranos. Oh, is he a Miami Vice guy or?
No. So really, yeah, he's basically an HBO in-house director because he's directed episodes of every good show on there. But no, he was in The Master with Lee Van Cleef and Sho Kosugi.
Okay. All right.
On TV. He's a ninja. And I never forgot him because he was a ninja.
When they said it was, when I read Timothy Van Patten before we watched the movie, I was thinking, he's not the same guy. I've never seen the movie, but the Metallica 1 video, Johnny Got His Gun. You know that movie? That like
no.
Okay. No. I think there was the lead was a guy named Van Patten, but I don't know if it was him or not.
I mean, there's also he's in The Wrong Guys. But yeah, he's mostly a director. I just burned in my brain because I like the 80s ninjas. I like The Master.
You do.
I actually looked that up. I don't think The Master, I thought it was, something to do with canon, but it isn't. As far as I can tell, not obvious.
When you say it's close to your heart, I immediately think it's Miami Vice because
that's true.
I know you're a big fan.
That's true.
And
that's always the closest.
And you always manage to pull you'll be like, we'll do a cast. We're on the last person. You're like, and by the way, he played Cocaine Dealer 2 in season 3 of Miami Vice episode 4.
That's pretty much my best recall nowadays. And then we have Art LaFleur as Mittens, and he was in Trancers, correct? And the Blob, he's the pharmacist, the dad.
The dad, yeah.
Cobra, he's always usually an angry cop sergeant, right? And he's in The Sandlot and the Maverick with Mel Gibson. But usually he's a secondary guy. I mean, you could argue these characters were almost equal.
Yeah, well, because they split up, so they give them a lot of equal time. I'll tell you right now, man, if I were to go back to 1986, and if I had to cast a Fantastic Four movie, Art LaFleur is the thing. Art LaFleur is Ben Grimm.
I see that.
He's just a block of a man in this movie, and he's so good. I like the whole cast in this movie, but Art LaFleur really stands out in this movie, and I've always liked him anyways, but he really stands out in this film.
Yeah, well, he got to actually do some acting besides just yelling like a sergeant, right? He's not the angry cop. He actually got to do something. And then Biff Maynard as Dolan, the journalist. He was in Trancers also. I actually forgot. When I said I was cutting off the cast, I kind of forgot he was in that. And he did some his biggest job seems to be on that TV show, The Flash, for the most part.
Yeah, and he was in The Wrong Guys as well.
Yeah, The Wrong Guy. And then I just noticed some hilarious title of his Desert Kickboxer. I don't know what that is, but
I would assume it's a kickboxer in the desert.
I don't know. I'm just speculating, just like the Sharks. So that's really all we have. I don't think we have anybody else. I think there's a dead guy at the beginning who was the Anchorman in Batman, but that doesn't count.
Oh, he's the medic in the beginning who gets killed by the Nazi?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He looked familiar, but I didn't put him there. Do you notice everybody in this movie, maybe I've been pronouncing it wrong my whole life, they don't call them Nazis, it's Nazis. Do you notice that?
Well, also some of the accents. I mean, Tim Van Patten's accent's terrible. I think everybody's trying to be Brooklyn almost, right?
Tim Van Patten is specifically trying to be like cartoon Brooklyn. Yeah. What's his name again in the movie? What's his character's name?
Joey, and it's Joey Verona.
Yeah, Joey Verona from Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, all the different boroughs. You want to get a slice of pie? See Joey Verona. You want to go down and swim in the East River? See Joey Verona. He specifically went to New York City acting class for this role. Yeah,
and he didn't go to Juilliard though.
No, he certainly did not. So the movie begins somewhere in Italy in 1944. We're smack dab in the middle of World War II, and we meet this crew we just talked about. The Iron Sarge, Tim Thomerson. He's like the no nonsense leader of the crew. Mittens is I don't know, a lieutenant maybe. He's kind of, Mittens is like Tom Sizemore in Private Ryan, right? Like he's like the utility machine gun guy. He's kind of the second in command. Joey Verona, and then we also have Dolan, who is a civilian reporter who is there to do a story on the Iron Sarge. Now, there are a bunch of more characters that are also in this platoon that we're not going to mention because they all get fucking murdered in the first like 10 minutes of the movie by Nazis. It's kind of funny because all the characters that we meet in the first 5 minutes of the movie are the only ones that survive,
Pretty
which
much.
It makes sense because like, right, that's who they wanted to attach us to. But as they're kind of like having some downtime while they're traveling, it's kind of made clear that the Iron Sarge has passed on the commission for this platoon, and the guy who's in charge is a young guy who does not know what he's doing, and it ends up costing almost all of them their lives. They get put on by a group of Nazis, and it's very, Joe, would you agree? It's very A-team action where it just seems like they're shooting guns, but like there's no real bullet effects or anything.
Well, they're also, nobody's really taking cover most of the time. And like even the Nazis just sort of line up like it's the Civil War and march over the hill. Yeah, it was a little bizarre. And also some of the guns looked a little weird, like Mitten's gun that was like a cross between like a regular gun and like the 30 caliber that you usually see in the movies. Because, you know, I'm an expert because I've seen Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers, and those guns didn't look anything like it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Mittens kind of almost had the it actually even had a girl's name. I can't remember what it was, but he has the precursor to Jesse the Body Ventura's Painless in Predator. This movie also has the precursor to Predator Vision, by the way. There's some scenes where spoiler, the alien that we're going to meet in a little bit is seeing our characters, and it's all like in kind of a red palette. They get away from the Nazis, but it's only the four of them. And they end up hiding out in like an old tomb. And eventually, Joe, how do they get split up to the point where, right, they decide that they're going to go on two different courses, right? The Verona and Sarge character, and then Mittens and Dolan, they split up.
Well, Mittens and Dolan wants to hunt deer so they have some delicious meat to eat.
Right. They tell him, they say the Sarge isn't going to go for this. And he's like, when he has a deer steak for breakfast, he'll be okay with it. I'm like, no.
Also, technically, Dolan has no power over, or no, the Sarge has no actual command power over Dolan. So actually, I think they held on a church there, right? And then, Joey goes out on watch and then sees this alien in the woods and thinks he's going crazy, and he throws his magazine in the fire, his comic books. Yeah,
Joey is a reader of the old school like science fiction story magazines, like the kind of stuff that George McFly was trying to get like published in Back to the Future. The alien, how would you describe it? Like I would, as if a small monkey fucked a fly. Like what was that? What was going on with that?
I thought it was a sleestack with a huge head and a little, actually two predator prongs on his mouth.
Yeah, I have a big question about the aliens that we end up meeting in this movie. And I know I'm skipping ahead, but that's fine.
Well, you gotta mention you don't see them a lot, so
you don't. But why are most of them like blue humanoids, and then the one is like a bug monkey. What? Like they didn't seem to be all the same species.
But yeah, it didn't make any sense. I mean, you see the aliens, although one is, right, if we jump ahead, is burned up in the ship. So this alien crash landed, as we learn, with a partner that just burned up on impact. So there are two of them, but then I don't know if these blue guys are rescue crew or what.
Yeah. So as Dolan and Mittens are hunting deer, they come across a Nazi encampment. And they determine that they're probably like 10 miles behind enemy lines at this point. Dolan, who's just a reporter, but of course he's got that reporter itch. He needs to know everything. Reporters just have the urge of information and knowledge. He tells Mittens he's going to take a leak because Mittens says, look, we can't go near there, man. We're severely outgunned. But Dolan, instead of going to take a leak, he sneaks down and Mittens sees him. And he sneaks down and he just goes right into one of the tents. He doesn't know nobody's in there. He just goes right in the fucking thing.
No, he claimed it was deserted.
He thought it was deserted, yeah.
Which I was thinking, oh, maybe the aliens killed them all. But,
yeah.
I mean, it looked deserted.
So he goes into the tent, Joe, and what does he find? What does he find all kinds of evidence and blueprints of?
This spaceship that's crash landed. They basically brought in a courtroom sketch artist to draw the picture of the crashed spaceship.
Yeah.
And they had maps and things like that.
So as he's down there, all of a sudden he gets accosted by the Nazis that show up on a motorcycle that I don't know if he didn't hear or not, but they come in and they're about to take care of Dolan. And Mittens ends up basically machine gunning the Nazi that's going to kill Dolan down, but then they both get caught. They get caught and they end up in like basically these cages, thrown in these cages and left in this compound with these Nazis. And the Nazis ask them questions. What do you know about this ship? And they basically do that cool thing that you see in all interrogation scenes in military movies where they just go like, Amenta, John, serial number 426751999, United States of America. Yeah. And they just take a beating. And at one point, Dolan's about to say something. And what happens, Joe?
Mitten says, don't do it. I can take a lot of punishment or whatever. I can keep going all day because the Nazis are punching him and not Dolan.
And Dolan just goes, Jim Dolan, yeah. Cleveland, Ohio, Cleveland Steamer. Serial number 0005256. And so these two guys aren't going to say anything. They're just going to get the shit kicked out of them a little bit. Meanwhile, Sarge and what's his name again? Verano. What's his first name?
Joey
Verano from Park Slope, Brooklyn. They decide to go and try to find Mittens and Dolan. And they come across the crashed fucking spaceship. What I like about this spaceship, Joe, is they didn't do the typical like 40s style UFO flying saucer. It's like a rocket. It's like it almost looks like a Viper from Battlestar Galactica crashed into the ground.
It looked pretty good. And also it was humongous.
Yes, it was very big.
You think it's like a 2-person craft and then Joey and the Sarge start walking and all of a sudden it's like this humongous spacecraft.
Yeah. What did you think? I was impressed, Joe. Were you impressed by the set itself, like the actual insides of the ship?
Did it look a little Star Wars-like in a long corridor, from basically a Death Star corridor too?
Yeah,
that one scene. Yeah, I mean it was pretty good considering. Yeah, I mean it was a good model, whatever it was, because it almost looked like it was a real building when it didn't look super special effecty when they walked up to it.
Right.
So I mean that was a pretty big type of model, and then inside looked spaceshipy.
They go inside and they end up finding the burnt up remains of the co-pilot or pilot, whatever it was. And they decide, well, fuck it. They're searching through and, they end up finding like a corridor for fresh air, which they have to get out because the Nazis have arrived back at the ship. So Sarge and Verano get out. And as they get out, a firefight ensues. And, I love the use of the term pineapple because I just wasn't thinking. So I was like, what is he going to do with a pineapple? Like
it took me a second.
A pineapple apparently is slang for a grenade, which makes sense if you look at an old school grenade with the bumps on it.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, he says, throw a pineapple in the tailpipe and let's get out of here. And I'm like, is he going to put fucking like tropical fruit? And then they throw a,
They put a banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah, they Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
they Axel Foley. They throw a grenade in here, blow the fucking ship right the fuck up. Just
that
blow
was
right
kind
the
of
fuck
a cool effect. It looked like they used the nuke effect from The Day After. That was actually surprisingly good explosion effect.
Grenades are so grenades. Like I've never seen a real grenade go off. I've never been in the military. I've never done anything like that. But grenades in Hollywood productions are so fucking inconsistent as to what they do. Sometimes you'll see a grenade and it will blow up and just kill one guy up that's like 5 feet away from it. Sometimes a grenade will explode with the force of 1,000 suns. And I know there are more than one type of grenade, but I'm talking about like standard pineapple style grenades even don't seem like they do the same things in movies. But this grenade blew that ship the fuck up.
I mean, I assume it ignited the nuclear core of the ship or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I guess one thing I'll say about explosions is that I think in real life you see a few of them. They're compared to movies, there's no flames, right? I think explosions just boom. I don't think a grenade has a flame; it just around you. And then if you're going to get flames, you'll have some sort of accelerant like gasoline or something. So I think movies, that's why they call it pyrotechnics, because way more fire.
Yeah. Alien spaceship fuel, that kind of thing. So we go back to the Dolan and Mittens, and who shows up like out of nowhere in this movie to be part of their interrogation? What Nazi all-star?
Mein Führer!
Yeah. So that's a great scene when they're all like kind of talking and all of a sudden it's like, Heil Hitler! Like they're all like at super attention. You know, it's like when you're a manager of like the Wendy's and the district manager walks in and you're like, oh my God, it's Tad. Like they're like, Heil Hitler. And Hitler comes in and, you know, at first I thought they're not going to even show the actor's face, but they do. It's a Hitler actor.
Pretty easy to make an actor Hitler.
Oh yeah.
Black hair and a mustache.
Black hair and a goofy mustache. That guy, you know, like, first of all, let's be honest, like his mustache was such a stupid mustache that he did the world a favor by being such a piece of shit that nobody ever wanted to have that mustache again, because it's just the stupidest fucking mustache ever. Like, imagine if someone inspirational had that mustache. Like, imagine if it was like Albert Einstein or someone inspirational that people looked up to. People right now would have stupid fucking like a block of hair over their upper lip and that's it. So
I feel like there are actually people now, unfortunately, that do like it. But yeah, if you look at like Saddam or the Ayatollah, right? Those are cultural dress and custom. So everybody's got a Saddam beard still.
Right. But I mean, but I mean, a Saddam beard is just a beard. But Hitler had that very specific mustache. Thank you for eradicating that with your bullshit. Mittens fucking punches him, right? Mittens, I thought this is a great part of the movie that they kind of they go back to joking a lot, is that Mittens, is he kind of out of it when he does it? Like he wakes up? I can't remember how it happens.
I assume he's faking it.
Yeah.
Right.
And Hitler kind of leans in on him and he just pops him. And I love the interaction between him and Dolan where he's like, Dolan, did I just KO Hitler? And he's like, you sure did, champ.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great.
That's probably the best line of the movie. And you know what? For all the issues, there was some good, surprisingly decent lines, just even story, not like funny.
Yeah.
But I was sort of surprised that, you know, I think Danny Bilson can write when you let him.
Yeah.
Or if he wants to.
Let's go back. These guys wrote The Rocketeer, which is a fucking classic. Yeah. The best line in the movie, and I'll jump ahead to say this because we're on the subject. I think the best line in the movie is when at the end, when they're talking to the humanoid aliens and they're out of bullets and they ask them for help with their weapons. And the humanoid alien is using the translator and says, we're not going to help you kill your people. And Mittens walks up and goes, Nazis are not our people. I thought that was a fucking great line.
That's a pretty good one.
That was a good fucking line. So this is kind of the center part of the movie where things start to get a little bit like jammed in together. They realize while they're there that there is also this little monkey fly alien is being held there. And then Sarge and Verano come and rescue them. So they take a truck and they get away with the alien. They realize obviously the alien is of some import. And they also realize, even though they don't want to admit it to themselves, Sarge and Dolan particularly, that this is a spaceship, right? So these guys all kind of get away. We get some more gunfight battles here and there. Joe, when do they come upon? I'm trying to remember. When do they come upon the rest of the aliens?
It was closer towards the end, right?
Right, because this is kind of like the middle bridging into the end.
Right. Yeah. So they hid in the cave, that Italian tomb cave, which looked like it was not in Italy. I mean, maybe they exist, but it was weird. It looked like the jungle.
Yeah. Well,
they hid in the tomb, and then after that is when they got to they met up with the aliens.
Right.
The blue men.
They realized that the little alien that doesn't speak any English enjoys eating cigarettes. There's an ongoing joke throughout the movie about how Mittens has got this fresh pack of cigarettes and everybody's taking them from him. I like that. I really, in this movie, I really, really liked the interaction amongst all the characters, even when it was super cartoony. And you're right. Joey Verano is super cartoony. He even says something about like he knew it was a tomb because of back home. I don't know, maybe his, it is 1944. Maybe his Nuna or his grandfather or whatever talked about the tombs in Italy, but probably not.
Probably not.
We'll jump ahead a little bit too. At one point, they are with the aliens. Essentially these blue aliens we keep talking about have this little kind of transporter ship, and they're there to pick up their compadre, the little weird bug-looking alien. But at one point, the Nazis show up again with a tank. And when the Nazis show up with a tank, it's a full-on battle again. And eventually, it just gets quashed because the aliens use their ray guns, and these things just disintegrate whatever they fucking touch. But during the battle, Joe, who gets fucking mortally wounded?
Joey. Who saw it coming? I didn't see it coming.
It
never happens like that in every movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I wasn't expecting it, but I mean, it's obvious, right? And of course he goes down, and we have this whole, the three of them holding on to him, and, make sure to tell my girl I love it. Typical World War II, kind of thing.
Yeah. Basically, I think the key is if you're going to war or to a camp by Crystal Lake, just be a virgin.
Yeah.
Because then don't have a girl, don't have sex. You will survive.
Joey almost had sex with a hologram that was created by this little box that the bug alien made for him, where it looks like it beamed him in the head, and his dream girl came out, and him and Mittens fight over who's going to fuck the dream girl. Nobody does. Mittens ruins it. But Joey dies. I will say I was kind of surprised, never seen this movie before. I thought this was going to be where the healing magic of E.T. came into play. Were you expecting that? Because I was.
Yeah, I just assumed.
I assumed the little bug alien was going to come over and rub some fucking mud on his dick or something, and Joey was going to just wake up. That didn't happen. Joey dies. So Joe, where do we end up? Kind of how this is all coming to a head at the end.
You have this final battle where the aliens give, the main alien gives all the soldiers all mittens, and this guy's all these ray guns, and they just destroy every Nazi in sight.
Yeah, they just evaporate the fuck out of Nazis.
And then Mittens the Sarge at one point gets captured briefly and then blows up the Nazi captain, whatever, with a grenade right in his shirt.
Yeah, that's a great scene. They're having this firefight with the Nazis, and they're saying they're running out of ammo. Again, World War II movie, this happens in every one of them. They finally run out of ammo, and they hold up the white flag. And basically, the Iron Sarge, who has this reputation they keep talking about, and this is why Dolan came. Because you have this reputation that you've been killed 1 million times and you've come back 1 million times. And, the Sarge makes it pretty clear that this is just a story or stories that his men make up about him. But it's taken on this thing. People back home want to read about him because, the war is rough and they want to see that there's still heroes out there. The Sarge says, fuck it, white flag. I'm going to go talk to the leader of the Nazis. So he comes out. I want to talk about our conditions of truce, but as he's walking out with his hands over his head, he's got a pineapple in his hand. And if you don't know what a pineapple is, it's a grenade. So he walks out, he goes out to the middle of this field, kind of surrounded by Nazis. And he's looking at the head Nazi, and right as he's about to surrender, he pulls the grenade out, pulls the pin, and then shoves it down the fucking guy's shirt. The Nazi blows up. Their body parts don't go flying. We don't have that much of a budget here. But it looked like, to me, the Sarge dives out of the way. But then the next time we see Mittens and Dolan, they're like, Sarge is gone. So as that happens, and as the tide of this is going very bad, those blue aliens show up again, along with little Bugface. And you kind of get the feeling that Bugface is the one that turned their idea. Like, we have to help them. They helped me. We have to help them. So they give him these little radar dish looking fucking laser guns. And then they just go to town and they shoot every fucking Nazi in this field with these blue lasers that, they're gone. They zap away and they clear the whole fucking place up. Nazi problem over. They go back to the aliens, and the aliens, basically just leave, right? They get on this platform, and it seems like the platform doesn't leave, right? They just leave, or does the whole platform leave?
Pretty much they sort of takes off. It's like isn't like a straight up penis ship and just goes right up.
Straight up penis ship. Yeah. Straight up penis ship, penis shit. See, I can't even say it right. Dolan and Mittens decide to walk back. They kind of realize, I don't know how they didn't travel that far, but they're like, we're much closer to the line than we were before. We're almost back to our base. So they just start walking. Dolan, says, hey, this is going to make a great story. And Mittens is like, you can't, publish this, right? Like, nobody is going to believe this.
You have the other way around. I think Mittens says it's a great story, and Dolan said nobody will believe me. Right.
Yeah. Dolan's like, aliens, all this stuff. No one's going to believe me. But then Mittens says you could sell it to one of Johnny's sci-fi rags, which ends up at the end of the movie. When we see the credits, we see that, which is pretty cool. But as they're walking along this long road, the long and winding road.
The long and winding road.
To get back to their base, we see a figure in silhouette standing on the road. Who is it, Joe?
It's the Sarge, the Iron Sarge.
The Iron Sarge can't fucking die. They said it before, and he did not. That grenade shoved so tenderly down a Nazi's fucking shirt did not kill him, just killed the fucking Nazi. Mittens comes over and, he basically tells him, give me a smoke. And they walk away. That's the end of the movie. And we see the cover of the sci-fi magazine, and, we know that this story gets told, by Dolan. So that's it. That's Zone Troopers. Joe, I know it was difficult. I know we talked about that it might not happen. Do you have any box office information for this?
I do. I don't have any information of what it made or anything. I didn't see that. I did notice that the budget was $3.5 million. At least that's what it says on AFI. And the budget for transfers is listed as $400,000. So where did the money go in this? If that's true,
the spaceship.
That's what I was thinking. That explosion. Yeah. I mean, you're not paying anybody. You got 4 people, really.
Yeah, the cameo by Hitler, maybe. Yeah. He's not cheap.
You got the rights are impossible to get.
He's not cheap. You're right. All right, let's talk about the box office.
All you care about is money.
So, there's not much going on with that box office. But for that weekend, the top 5, actually, I'll go top 6, because number 6 that week is April 11th, 11 to 13th in 86 is Critters.
Oh, okay. Another one. Another big, low budget kind of.
I love Critters.
Well, Patrick, who we did this show for, loves Critters as well. So maybe at some point we'll jump in on Critters.
Sounds good. And number 5 is Offbeat, and it says Disney. I don't know what that Disney movie is.
Never heard of it.
Number 4 is Gung Ho, which I like a lot. Remember, like that the Michael Keaton as the working for the Japanese car company.
Getty Watanabe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's surprisingly realistic about the car business if you look at it from a historical standpoint. And 3 is Band of the Hand. I don't remember that one either.
Band of the Hand, I think might be, I could be wrong, but I think it's a gang movie.
And then number 2 is Police Academy 3, the PG-13 one.
Yeah, the 1 and 2 were the R ones, and then everything after that, yeah.
And number 1 is another one I haven't seen, The Money Pit, with Shelley Long and
I
Hanks,
saw that.
Right?
Yeah, I saw that in the theaters, actually. I remember, yeah. Tom Hanks is, I think, the new husband to Shelley Long, and her ex-husband is the guy who played the blonde, the long-haired blonde from Die Hard, the second bad guy. The ballet dancer.
Boris Goodenough. Boris Goodenough.
Alexander Goodenough, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Boris Badenoff is Rocky good. I knew it was Goodenough, but
Boris Goodenough.
Yeah, and so the top 10 for 86, I got that real quick. Number 10 is Kiss of the Spider Woman, which I've never seen.
No, me neither.
This is slow.
It's an adult movie. It was an adult movie in 86. It doesn't appeal to us.
Yeah, I mean, like an indie adult, too, which I didn't see any. Number 9 is Maxie. I don't know that one either. Is that like some weird alien one, you think?
Don't know. The name sounds familiar, but no idea.
Number 8 is, wow, that's like, I had the wrong week. I mean, I think the whole year, but it's weird. Number 8 is Plenty.
What?
I must have a weird list. I don't know, something I might have cut the wrong ass list.
All right, let's just skip the top 10.
I'm sorry, I think I cut because I don't know the hell number 1 was.
We'll skip the top 10.
Oh, you know what I did? I switched out I switched the top 10 for 86 with the top of the week from the release date in 85.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll skip that.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I was like, what the hell?
That's why we don't have nice things, Pepper.
Get out!
All right, Joe. Now that the box office has been talked about, let's rate this thing.
Have you gentlemen seen your midterm grades yet?
Well, they're not posted yet, sir.
I've seen them.
Okay, well, first off, I wanted to point out something.
Sure.
Did you notice that they definitely ripped off the Imperial March a couple times?
Yes, fucking yes. Look, we've talked about it on the show before. I'm not like a lot of podcasters. I don't write notes while I'm watching the movies, but I write my notes, and a lot of times afterwards, stuff that catches my head, I'll throw it down there. I did not write that at all, but you're absolutely right. Multiple times, I felt like the score was leaning into the Imperial March.
Yeah, and I need to write notes because I'll forget. But yeah, and that was the thing. And then another thing I noticed is like the after the KO of Hitler, they sort of did this like sitcom fade away, like it was Hogan's Heroes. It was just in the middle of nowhere, like he was trying something new.
It was like a commercial. Like, so I won't take credit for saying this, or I read this, but it made sense to me. I was reading after I watched the movie. I was reading some of the Letterboxd reviews, and one of them said this feels like a TV movie, and it does. I mean, and that's not a diss, but it kind of feels like a TV movie. And you're absolutely right. There's that little after he says, did I KO Hitler? And he goes, you sure did, champ. It does this like little fade away. And I was like, wow, that was very TV like.
Yeah, and I think that's, and the last thing I would say is, they tried to make it like I guess that the mood of World War II was that first song you always hear that.
Oh, In the Mood.
In the Mood. It's like everything. I think that was probably the beginning of the Prowler too, or something similar, right? So if you want World War II, you have In the Mood, and then that We'll Meet Again.
Something tells me, maybe I'm wrong, but something tells me In the Mood is probably in like the public domain.
I'm sure it's been there.
Because like it's probably, you could just get it for free.
Or just have any band record it. Right?
Yeah.
So that's funny. So I know this movie has some good ideas. It was boring. I'm sorry. It was really boring, kind of. We didn't see any aliens. It was like the first 40 minutes before anything really happened. 30, 40 minutes. So I was kind of bored. Like I was a little disappointed compared to Transfers for a movie like that. It was pretty slow, but I thought it had some really good ideas that I wish that if you give maybe Danny Wilson a real script or a real, I guess it's still budget, like a real studio, he might have done something with it. They could have polished it up, but I don't know. I'm being nice to say 1.5. I just it was boring. It was boring. I was really disappointed. Like, and I'm. Yeah, like I know I'm hitting it, but man, I just like all the good ideas. The rest of it was so slow. I didn't get enough aliens. I wanted aliens pretty much. We got no aliens, no any explanation, nothing.
All right. Well, I'm going to disagree with you on your score. My score's higher, but I will say I'm definitely more of a Transfers guy. Like I love Transfers.
Yeah,
I did enjoy this. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I will say I at points agreed with you in terms of like, this almost could have been a straight World War II movie and gotten rid of the alien thing, or they could have just made the alien thing the ship and never introduced the aliens, right? Like we obviously know from history and from Mike Mignola's Hellboy books that Adolf Hitler had an obsession with the occult and with trying to find the next big weapon. And, you know, obviously alien, outer space, extraterrestrial, that would also be in his wheelhouse. Like, look, hey, look, this thing's in my lap. I'm going to use it.
And I think that's like a bit of idea. The concept of having the future hit up at, you know, something like World War II, where the technology wasn't advanced, although they knew what aliens were. But I think it's a really cool idea. I just didn't think it worked.
Yeah, I can see that to an extent, where it might have worked as just like, it could have worked as just a straight World War II kind of like, you know, buddy comedy, action movie. I do like the inclusion of the alien plot though. I think it does add like a layer to it. I do think they don't do enough with it. But I really like the cast in this. I really liked a lot of the dialogue. I thought that there was a lot of fun moments in it. So I give it a 3. I'm going to go with 3. Yeah, I enjoyed this. I will watch this again at some point. I agree with you. It's a short movie and it does take a while to get going in terms of like what's happening here. And it gets a little repetitive, you know, but I mean, that's the plot of the movie, right? They're running from the Nazis and the Nazis keep on catching up to them. They're trying to get away with the aliens. The Nazis catch up to them. It's kind of just a bunch of different scenes of them getting split up, the Nazis showing up, them having a gunfight, getting away, the Nazis show up again. But I still enjoyed it. I still had a good time with it. I think I definitely, kind of like I said from the beginning, I think I have like a soft spot for any of this Empire, Full Moon, Charles Band stuff. There's a lot of really cool stuff that he's done. And this is one of them. And Tim Thomerson is like an all-time favorite. Like, he's such a great character actor. You mentioned he's the dad in Iron Eagle. He's the dad in Near Dark. I mean, he's just been in a lot of things I like and not enough things that I like where he's the lead. So it was kind of, and even though calling him the lead in this is kind of a little bit of a stretch because, you know, fucking Mittens, what's his real name? Art
LaFleur.
Art LaFleur is a lead in this, Biff Main. They're all kind of leads, but it's just great to see Tim Thomerson in something that I had never seen him in before. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 3. I'm going to go with a 3 out of 5 for this.
You got me now. I can't hold the line just like in the war. Because every point you make is good. I just didn't like the movie. Like all the inventiveness, the good lines, it's just the movie was too boring. So like I'm going up to 2. I know I lost my thing. Can't hammer it too much, but I probably won't watch it again.
Okay, you could stay at a 1.5.
I hate doing that to anybody who tries to make art.
Yeah, well, that's why I'll never give anything a 0. But I mean, I'll give something a 0.5. You know,
it was like everything you said about it. Like I said, we could have agreed. I just think it's not as good as you do.
Yeah,
but everything. Yeah, I think Venice got some good lines. I think it could have that type of plot. I think would work with more to do because aliens. Hardly aliens in there. But yeah, even just the ship and things happen like the compasses and everything.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. I had a good time with it. That is a Pint Insider dedication for our buddy Patrick Flanagan. Patrick, thank you for loving Zone Troopers. Thank you for having the poster on your wall and all the rest of the insiders out there. I'm going to creep on you. I'm going to find your weak points and the things you love, and I'm going to do episodes on them. If you're listening to this because this is a main feed episode and you're not an insider, come on, man, join us, join the inside and get some extra episodes. Here's just a few of the episodes that you might not have heard if you're not an insider. 48 Hours, The Evil Dead, The Lost Boys, Phantasm, Lethal Weapon. We've done a bunch of stuff. That's just a small amount of it. So go to Patreon/The Pint and check us out. $2.50 for a base level, $4 for the newer level that gets you live streams as well. We'd love to have you there. Joe, I love you, man. I hope you have a great summer. I hope you don't disappear out of my life like you're disappearing out of the podcast, because that would be sad. Like, I hope I still hear from you. I hope I get texts now and then.
Oh, no. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. Can I make one point before I go?
Yes.
So John, patrons, everyone else, John has said he's looking into your brains, looking to see what you like. But everyone just put Caddyshack up there so the man finally watches it.
Never doing it.
He's not watching it because of spite. And you know what? No one appreciates spite more than I do. But come on, man. Just watch Caddyshack.
All right. Maybe before the summer's over. It seems like the perfect time for that. All right. So the Manster, who has not been here for a few weeks, who's been doing all kinds of his own personal family stuff, will be back next week for episode 300, where we are talking about, yes, 1997's gigantic, humongous, world-changing movie, and very timely for some events that have happened right now, Titanic. We're not doing it because of what happened recently. It was already planned, but hey, look, that's how the cookie crumbles. I should not have used that analogy. That was terrible, and I did not do that on purpose. That was shitty. I'm not cutting it out because that was kind of
that was funny.
That was kind of funny, but you know what I mean. So until next time, Joe, say the words.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!